All right, I started.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go into this topic, let's get an update on the project. So let's start with Nicholas. Actually, so yesterday, Nicholas, I was trying to utilize the customization template to deploy. So first thing that I did was we don't have the images actually deployed anywhere. So I got access to key.io where we have our images by the same name that was specified in the template. So we have object storage controller. Let me also bring the template up. GitHub.com. 6 controller. Okay, so in deploy base deployment to YAML, yeah, container object storage controller. So we created that repository, pushed the latest version of the code. Similarly, we did the same for the others. So we are staying in line with what we had specified here. So when I try to deploy this
question, so you guys are going to use Quay, you're not going to use that official repo?
Oh, Xing, we brought it up the last meeting, remember? We decided that once we go alpha, then we'll get the official ones.
Okay. Yeah,
I think that's what you told us.
Okay, I didn't remember that. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. If it's possible to get official repos, we would like to get started on that, to be honest.
Yeah, there is an official repo. It's there already. It's
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
Storage staging, you mean, right?
Right.
Yeah, that staging we can use. Except the only issue that we had was how do we cut the release images? Basically, if we tag, I think we can.
I think the only problem is only you can only upload the one that is formally released. You can't do like later, so those images cannot be there. So that's a problem, right. I think. If you want, yeah. So maybe, yeah, if you want to just go ahead with this one for now, maybe try to use that later. That's fine. I was just wondering.
That's what we decided for now.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Because I saw your you have a PR. I also have the same question there. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I think we should add an issue here, though. We shouldn't forget.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll take care of that. And Xing, yeah, you're right. I mean, you asked the same question on my PR, probably. You know, the reason we need the proud.sh to be in because some of the post-submit jobs will depend on that. So for now, I think we will have to merge that PR as soon as possible and then iterate on that as we decide these things.
Okay, yeah, then no problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Xing. Okay, so I tried to deploy using the customization template here. So just kubectl create -k, K for customize, and in this directory. So this specification of the CRD, I understand why it has been put this way, but this doesn't work. So I understand that we're trying to specify the directory where all the CRDs are in the API repo, but it doesn't work. It's actually invalid syntax. I mean, it's not able to retrieve that path.
I literally tried doing that before doing the PR. So let me, it's an interface controller.
Yeah, it's possible that, I don't have a config set or something like that, or maybe my version of kubectl is older.
So
I don't think so.
The way I tested it was not using kubectl apply, but it was just using customize build. If there is, I don't know what, using customize version 3.8.5, and that one properly renders, including the CRD.
And what's the version of customize in kubectl? Would you know?
Good question. I don't know, and the version of kubectl I have installed is fairly old as well, so I would need to likely get some newer version before I can try using kubectl.
Okay.
So what you can do instead is get customized and then pipe the output of customized build into kubectl apply -f.
Yeah, or what I did was I copied over the CRDs to a local directory and then pointed to the local directory just for testing.
Yeah. So yeah, my testing was using customize, and that works.
Okay.
If customizing kubectl is older, then indeed that may be an issue.
Okay. Nicholas, as a follow-up, could you add an issue? Actually, I can do it. kubectl apply HQ. Described in title. Yeah, I'll have to fill this up later, but I'm going to assign it to you, Nicholas, since you know the best about kubectl. We're customized. What is your GitHub handle? Nicholas T.
Nicholas T. Yeah, that one. But I'm not in the organization, so that may not work.
Okay. It's okay. So I'll just assign it to myself, but so that others don't take up the issue. But yeah, we'll have the understanding that that you'll take care of, you'll look into this issue.
Yep.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So that was the first issue that I faced. Once we got over that, it deploys just fine. It works just fine. Once we went through that, there was some issue with installing the provisioner sidecar. Provisioner sidecar. Okay, I'm getting it wrong. But regardless, I won't go into the details right now. The reason I brought this up is because as things are right now, we have all the code, we have all the logic built in for the demo, for the first demo. However, the one final step, which is integration, is not yet in place. Even though we can technically do the demo already, the goal we set for the demo was that whatever we show in the demo is not smoke and mirrors, or is not something that's ahead of what's already checked in. So before we do the demo, I want to make sure that integration is done to such an extent where users can just fork the controller repository and should just be able to do kubectl apply-k, and the full stack should get deployed. I don't think we're very far from it. We've come a long way. We just need to iron out the customized issues. Okay, so that's one thing that's left for before the demo. The other question that I want to ask all of you. So we need help with documentation. I believe Summers Matthews started helping out. However, there was an issue with let me show you. It's just easier to show. So in the pull request, yeah, here. If Summers is here, we can discuss this. However, the issue was, let me see. Yeah, so it looks like that. Summers has tried to use HTML tags inside Markdown. If that person is here, we can talk about how we can design the header to be a little different. But I'm hoping we align with the rest of the Kubernetes projects where we have these links as a part of the project description itself rather than as a header. The intention here is right. Someone just tried to have tab-like headers here. However, Markdown does not render HTML, and anything that's rendered is because of the browser. It's generally not a good idea to go down this route. So if someone else is available to help with this documentation, if one of you could guide Summers and work with them to get this documentation done, that would be great. It is actually quite important that we get it done because we have more and more people interested in understanding where we are at and how we work. Cozy, the project. So we created this project board, which is definitely useful. However, we don't have documentation that describes how Cozy works. For instance, yesterday or day before yesterday, someone from Rook.io reached out wondering what the state of the project is and basically how things work. And I was able to respond to them on Slack, and I would also encourage participation there. However, I think it is much more efficient to have documentation in place.
Are you thinking along the lines of a design doc or something else?
So I think just to begin with, we should start out with the spec doc like CSI has and a small README. CSI has a beautiful documentation, container storage interface. Yeah. So just like that. I mean, we don't have the same topics. However, the spec.md, it covers pretty much everything that we need to know about CSI. I think this would be the first priority because the first point of integration that we want people, that we expect people to do is by writing a driver. And if we start the process now, we'll have something that is more or less usable in a few weeks. Does that make sense?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. So again, I'm reaching out to all of you. There are tasks open for documentation. I'm going to add some more information about what kind of docs we want and basic style guideline into these issues, so it's clearer. But this is going to be a team effort, and people are going to start using Cozy more and more, and it is our responsibility to make sure that they have all the information that they need. So anyone who is available to contribute, please reach out to me or start making PRs for these open issues. It'll be much appreciated. The next thing is, okay, so those are the two main things, integration and documentation, that is a big focus for this week and probably next week as well. Documentation is going to be a continuous effort, but integration, we should have a basic grasp on it by next week. So before next Thursday. Okay, so that is in terms of progress. Now I want to get into how we've designed deletion and finalizers. So in order to move forward, and we've been discussing quite a bit technically, and I don't believe I've had a chance to explain some of the technical decisions that we made with the community. And I think it's very important that this architectural design decision is done together. So I'm bringing it up now. Okay. So I want to talk about deletion and finalizers. So we have buckets which follow this basic workflow. A bucket request is created, which leads to a bucket being created, and which utilizes a bucket class. But for this discussion, bucket class is not relevant. And then a bunch of bucket accesses refer to this bucket. Now, a basic expectation is that while a pod is using a bucket, the bucket should not be deleted from underneath. And something like this can be easily achieved by using finalizers. We've discussed, and we've even written in the KEP that we'll use finalizers to make sure that buckets are not deleted while pods are using it. But this discussion goes into how exactly we'll do that. So into a bucket object, I'll get to how bucket request finalizers also work, but let's start with this. So whenever a pod utilizes a bucket, it utilizes it by the bucket access. What I mean by that is the bucket access creates a token, and the token is passed into the pod. So for every bucket access, as long as it is alive, it is safe to assume that that bucket is being used. So we add a finalizer for each bucket access that is created for a particular bucket. And the finalizer will be, we can have a prefix here, but for now I've just represented the identifier of the bucket access itself. So for each bucket access, the ID of the bucket access is going to be one finalizer in the bucket object. So unless all the bucket accesses are gone, a bucket cannot be deleted. Any questions? Okay. So same thing goes with the bucket request and bucket. We don't want the bucket request. So here I have a question actually. So if a user creates a bucket, and by creating a bucket request, one of the ideas is we should allow the user to also delete the bucket. So in that case, if a bucket request is deleted, we will trigger the deletion of the bucket as well. Now, there is another question here, which is we shouldn't, the admin shouldn't delete the bucket while a bucket request is referring to it. Now, my question is that even a concern? Should we even be designing for that? I don't think it was clear, so let me reiterate this. So there are two scenarios. One is, and we can enable either of them, and this is the question of usability. If a user creates a bucket request, and that leads to the creation of the bucket, should the user be able to delete the bucket by deleting the bucket request?
Sid, what doesn't the workload come into play in that question? Because if I create a BR and I have a pod consuming the bucket also, which is the most common case, and then I delete my BR, but the pod is still running, I assume the previous scenario means that that things won't get cleaned up on the K8 side, that we'll ignore that delete on the BR for a while, due to a finalizer until the pod is done.
Right. So if a BR is deleted, the BR won't get cleaned up because the bucket is still in use in this design.
Okay.
So the way we figure out if a bucket is in use is if there are finalizers left on the bucket object, the finalizer is referring to the bucket access. Then the bucket cannot be deleted, and so since the bucket is still alive, bucket request is not deleted.
Right. And I assume if there's multiple workloads, multiple pods accessing the same bucket, physical bucket, or no. If we have multiple, we can have multiple workloads accessing the same bucket instance, right?
We can have, yes, that is correct.
Okay, so
the way they do that is by referring to the bucket access.
Okay, and so the bucket instance won't be deleted until all workloads are done with the bucket.
Correct.
Okay, and we don't have any automation that when a workload is done, that we do any cleanup, right? So the workload finishes.
Yeah.
The BR is still there. Everything is still there. What do we do in that? Does that trigger anything?
By itself, no. But if the user decides to delete the bucket request and the bucket access request, then the bucket access request deletion would trigger the deletion of the bucket access.
Okay, so the workload termination does not trigger a deletion of, say, the BAR?
No.
Okay, okay, good. I think. Okay.
Yeah, maybe let's start with that part. Okay, so let's start with bucket access. So if you have a bucket access request, it leads to a creation of a bucket access. And for each pod that's using the bucket access, we add a finalizer.
Yes.
As long as there are pods using this bucket access, we don't delete the bucket access.
Okay. Okay.
So if a bucket access request deletion comes into play, then since there are finalizers, the deletion timestamp would be set here, and the controller will have to trigger the deletion of the bucket access because the BAR deletion began, because the BAR's request deletion timestamp was set.
Yeah. And Cozy, this is probably very obvious, but Cozy will never delete a user created resource. Like Cozy isn't going to automatically delete a BR or a BAR.
No, there's no cleanup like that.
Right. That user has to do that or the admin. Okay.
Yeah. So once that request comes in, so when a bucket access request deletion begins, there is no trigger that deletes the bucket access also. That trigger will have to be written by us. It has to be in the controller. And that should trigger the deletion of the bucket access, which will wait until all the pods are done. And once it is done, the bucket access goes away. And the bucket access request should also go away at that point. How do we?
The Cozy driver, the CSI driver or a Cozy driver, the interface with the kubelet. When the pod finishes, we get a node unpublished volume call, gRPC, and what we'll essentially do is remove one of the finalizers on the BA, and then when they're all gone, then the BA naturally is deleted.
Right. Yeah, the BA is deleted. However, the finalizer from actually, okay, so how should we delete the bucket access request then? Because someone needs to go and remove the bucket access finalizer from the bucket access request.
Well, right. And so that's in part why I asked the question, because a philosophy could be that Cozy never deletes a user created resource. So if as a user, I create the BR or I create the BAR, Cozy won't delete them. I have to do it. It's I
Right.
create. So in that case, if that's the philosophy we adopt, Cozy will never delete the BAR.
I'm talking about removing the finalizer. Let's say a deletion request comes in for a BAR.
Yes.
Based on that, we're going to have to trigger the deletion of the bucket access.
If we added the finalizer to a BAR, we need to remove it at some point.
Right.
Same
So
with BR.
do we hold on to the finalizer until the BA is gone, or do we take the finalizer off as soon as we trigger the deletion of BA?
The latter sounds right to me, but I
Mhm.
should think more about it.
Yeah,
I
that
think if
makes.
you want to avoid leaking, you should make sure BA is deleted first before you remove the finalizer.
Correct, yes. So we will trigger the deletion of BA, but we won't wait. That should be fine, right?
It sounds,
What do you mean you don't wait? The finalizer, if finalizer is not removed, you can't delete it, right?
Oh,
This won't
yeah,
be-
let me rephrase that. We'll trigger the deletion of the BA, but we won't wait for the BA to be deleted. As soon as we trigger the deletion of BA, we will go ahead and remove the finalizer from BA.
But then how is that? What are you worried it's going to be hanging or something? Because normally, if you really want to avoid leaking, then you should actually wait until BA is really removed before you remove that finalizer.
why, Xing? Why do we want to wait?
Because what if BA is not removed? Then how are you going to link this together again? I mean, so the BA, if BA is not deleted and then the finalizer is removed, then what was the point of having the finalizer in the first place? That's what you
So,
want to avoid.
yeah, I'll explain that. So we don't wait for the BA to be removed. That just means we call delete on the BA. And if the finalizers are gone from the BA goes away.
Right, but I'm just saying there's a possibility that BA is not deleted for some reason, right? In that
Yeah,
case,
can wait.
huh?
It should be okay, right? Like what
I'm
if
just
the
saying,
BA...
do you want to get into the situation where the finalizer, so you want to get into, so then that's possible that the BAR is deleted, but the BA is not, right? It's possible because you removed the finalizer.
Right,
early.
right.
Is that something that so in that case, then you will have that, it's like resource leaking. You have a BA.
Well, it'll be a terminating resource. Well, I don't.
We don't.
I'm looking for input here. Let me put it that way. So, technically speaking, if we've started the deletion of the BA, then as long as you know, it doesn't get deleted until all the finalizers are removed. But you know, it actually represents that that token is still alive. So. Or it is still in use. So my question is, if we've triggered the deletion of BA, should be good enough, right? Because that means the BA is going to be deleted eventually.
Yeah, but we don't want there's a one-to-one mapping between a BAR and a BA, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's still correct, isn't it? So if I delete the BAR and that, and there's a finalizer on the BAR, and that causes Cozy to attempt to delete the BA, but the BA has finalizers because there's an app pod, right? Okay, so deletion timestamp is set, but now we're just stuck. I mean, the API is not stuck; it will return, but we haven't really done a deletion. And so now, let's say the application pod is done. The node adapter deletes the finalizer on the BA. Let's just say there's one. The BA goes away. We need to know that the BA went away so that we can remove the finalizer on the BAR and clean that up. And but Xing, there could be windows in time where we have a BAR but no BA, or because we're just
there was definitely
BAR, and so an instant where we don't have the one-to-one mapping, but that would get cleaned up quickly.
Right. That part is okay. I think what Xing is bringing up, I think, is valid. I just don't know if it's okay to leave it that way, though. It's
So
basically a
that's
dangling
what we have done for like one snapshot content. We have the same type of thing, the finalizers, right? So to avoid leaking, we always want to make sure. First, we want to make sure the physical volume is the physical snapshots deleted before we remove the finalizer on the content, and then making sure that the content is removed before we remove the finalizer on the snapshot itself. So it's similar to this, but we make sure there are no resource leaking.
I see. So, I mean, let me ask this way. If we start the deletion of the BAR, that is also going to remain stuck until all the pods are done with it. So is that okay?
Yeah, that's what finalizers are for, right? That's why we have finalizers, because otherwise your finalizer is not really doing much. If you remove that so early, then if you don't have finalizer, it's going to be the same. What's the point of even have the finalizer if you're not preventing it?
So the only reason is there is a design challenge with this, and it's a solvable problem, and we already know the solution also. So the challenge is, if we are going to have that BAR remaining, then we need to somehow know that the BA has been deleted. The BA is gone. When
your controller can check that, right? Are you saying your controller cannot check it? What do you mean? Your controller will be watching both BAR and BA, right?
But the BA controller, if it's listening on delete events, the BA controller can go down just when the delete event comes in, and when it comes back up, it won't get the delete event. So we could miss that event. However, there's a solution around it, which is on the BAR controller during a sync call. So every resync period, all the resources are basically added back, and during that call, you get an update request in the controller. So we should just check if deletion timestamp is set. We should also check if the BA corresponding to this BAR is still alive. And if that's the case, if it's not alive, then we can go and remove the finalizer from the BAR. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So so you will be making sure the BA is removed.
Yeah, but from the BAR controller.
No, but Sid didn't say that exactly.
But the way you have to have like two separate controller, like one cannot check the other resource. Is that what you're I'm not familiar with your controller. I'm not sure how. Are you saying you have one controller for BA, one controller for BR? They are completely separate. I think you should have like a central control that can.
Right.
Both,
They're not completely separate. My concern is the controller loop that's listening to BA events could potentially miss the delete event.
Right, but then there was retries, right? There was also resync period, and things should come back.
Yeah, but if
that's what happened.
Let's say
what is the problem? It's missed, and then you should try again.
No, it won't try again because it's a deleted object. You won't get the event back.
Right.
It's not who deleted that. I mean,
if the finalizers are removed, the BA goes away.
Yes.
Which finalizer are removed?
These finalizers.
Oh, you're saying those finalizers are removed?
Yeah.
But you are deleting the BAR first, right? So the BAR, but that's fine. No. You can always check. But the BAR have the delete events. It's going to do the sync. It will always check if BA is deleted, right?
Yeah, so that's the one. That's what we can do. Yes.
Right. So in the controller, you should be watching both, right? There was a sync for BAR, and there was a sync for BA. You need to check both.
Yeah. That's the solution I just suggested. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah. So this works then. So is Rob here? Rob was working on this. Oh, sorry, Srini was working on this, correct? Srini?
Yeah.
So is this what we decided that hey, is this what we decided that we will wait for the BA to be deleted before removing the BAR, the finalize on the BAR?
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I remember it the other way, where we said we'll trigger the deletion of BA, and then we'll just go ahead and remove the finalizer. That's not what we decided now, though.
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how the code is right now.
Okay, maybe we just discussed it. Okay, good to know.
And the backend storage has removed access, has removed the token or credential for the bucket, right?
Right.
And we wait for that as well.
That's a part of removing the last finalizer. If deletion timestamp is set, and if there's only one finalizer left and it's time to remove this finalizer, then at that point you go ahead and delete the token.
Right, because when we delete, the user deletes the BAR, that triggers everything. That causes the
Cascade.
provisioner to be called with the delete method so that it will clean up, right? Revoke, I mean, sorry, not delete. But
Right, yes. The driver revoke will get called. However, not until all the pods are done with it.
okay, and I know in general probably revoke is fast, but if you think about, but potentially, let's just say, or theoretically, what if revoke is very slow at the driver side? Does Cozy do anything? Like the physical delete of a bucket could be very slow. But we're talking about BARs instead here, but still, does it matter to us if the driver is very slow to respond to a revoke request?
We could design for a long revoke operation. However, I think that concern is more applicable in case of buckets.
Agree. I agree.
So I wouldn't worry about long-running revoke operations. We could go with what we have, and let's say we go out there and we find that to be a valid concern. We can always come back and fix it. But I don't believe revoke should take long in any scenario.
Is there another finalizer? I agree, Sid. Is there on the BA? So we have a finalizer for each app pod on it. But do we have another finalizer on the BA that represents that there's a BAR?
Do we need it?
I'm just saying, I'm not sure we do either, but let's just say in the diagram, you have all three pods are done. And so therefore the finalizers that you show on the BA are gone. So that BA could be deleted anytime, but there's still a BAR pointing to it.
Good point.
So do we need any protection in that
Yeah,
scenario?
I think actually you need.
Yeah, you do.
For the bi-directional binding, right? Yeah, you need that.
Well, I don't know if it has to point back to the BAR, but you need one to make sure that the token isn't just removed, you need a finalizer to make sure that BA doesn't go away until the token is removed.
That's for the pod, right? That's for you're talking about those three finalizers that you're showing here?
No, we need a fourth one, which will be one for the actual physical token.
That's for the BAR?
That's not the BAR. That's just, I don't think we need one for the BAR. I'm saying instead of that, we need one finalizer which is present. And that finalizer, we can call it token protection finalizer or access protection finalizer, where if the application pods, when they go down, the CSI adapter will go ahead and remove the finalizers one by one. And if it removes the last finalizer, the BA could go away before we call revoke on the token. So by having another token or access protection finalizer, we prevent the BA from going away.
Right.
And then
does that also prevent it, like if people just directly go delete the BA without delete the BAR, will that prevent it? Because deletion should start from BAR, not from BA, right? For dynamic provisioning at least.
So that's a good point. I mean, does it matter?
Yeah, yeah, of course. You're not supposed to directly delete BA. You should they should protect that, right?
Right.
Otherwise,
yeah, it's possible an admin deletes the BA, but we're not really covering that here. But,
well,
but
it seems like a valid concern to me. Don't you think, Jeff?
Well, I don't know. Possibly, yes.
Someone was speaking.
well, we do have that, but like for example, for one snapshot we have that, and I think also for PVC there's also the finalizer to protect that if they're binding. There is a finalizer.
Yeah, but BS can only be deleted by admin, right? If that is the case, then it's admin knows what he is doing. At least we can assume that. I thought.
I mean,
but if it's already, like being like bound with BAR, it still should not be. If it's dynamic provision, it should still not be deleted that way. If it's dynamic provision, should always be deleting the BAR first.
I think we have a valid use case for leaving that deletion open. Actually, if the admin wants to forcibly,
if admin really want to do that, they can always remove the finalizer to do that, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's right. So what's the solution here? I think this is a valid concern. So the first question is, how valid of a concern it is. To me, it sounds like if it's being done with PV and PVC as well, I think we should also follow that line of logic. Anyone else have any thoughts on this? Let me see who's here.
Yeah, I just think we want to think about, Sid, I think we want to consider use cases where we do automatic clean up of finalizers on the BA because all the app pods are done. And the BA is out there now, and there's a BAR, but the user forgets to delete the BAR, right? I mean, that can happen. So now we have a BAR and a BA. The BA has no finalizer on it. The BAR does. And does that matter? Maybe that's perfectly stable situation.
Unless a rogue admin comes in and takes the BAR out, sorry, the BA out, the BAR is pointing to a BA that doesn't exist. Well, that's okay, because if the BAR now gets deleted, it just gets deleted.
We're not going to be able to handle rogue admins. You're right. So if the admin messes up and breaks our link between BAR and BA,
it's on the admin at that point.
Yeah, I think for at least for MVP.
That makes sense. Shing, what do you think?
Sorry,
no worries. This is a complicated discussion. So what Jeff is saying is also correct. So for MVP, this is kind of an edge case scenario where the BA gets deleted out of band. Rather than going through the cozy line of chain of operations, should we address this concern for MVP?
I think actually this is something that could happen. I think it's going to be common for this one to happen because if admin does not know, they're not supposed to delete this one first. You could just delete this one by accident. So.
I mean, in terms of effort, it's nothing. So
it's not too much to add that, right? So also for this to be consistent with all the other existing, the pairing to object kind of a binding type of resources.
So let's talk about this. So when is the BAR finalizer removed from the BA?
So the deletion will be triggered from BAR. So when that's coming from BAR, then you add the deletion timestamp on BA, and at that time,
remove that.
Start to remove that. Yeah,
that makes sense. That would work. Yeah, that would work.
So bidirectional finalizers, would they cause any problems? Or I don't
Yeah, I'm
know.
also concerned about that. Like, could we end up in a spinning loop where you need this to be gone before that can be gone, and that to be gone before this can be gone, like a
Well,
deadlock?
so the controller, of course, control logic is complicated, right? Of course, you have to
Yeah.
go take out that.
No, my question was more like, is there an unavoidable lock like that? But since you're saying even PVC and PVs do that, it shouldn't be a possible problem.
Yeah, but one snapshot has that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, should
Srini,
not be a problem. I mean, of course you have to handle those in the controller.
Yeah, makes sense. I can't quite remember why we didn't go that approach earlier, but yeah, if we remember it, we can bring it back up next week. All right, so Jeff and Srini, what are your thoughts on that? About adding a bidirectional finalizer?
The original discussion, I remember, like Jeff, I'm going to echo what Jeff said.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a admin object, and admin is doing what he knows, he thinks that he is doing. So that's the reason why we did not adopt this. And the second thing is the complexity around bidirectional finalizers. So if we agree, we can just do exactly what Snapshotter or PVCs are doing. So I just wanted to know if there are any known problems in those areas. If there are none, those are well tested. So
actually, no, that's not true.
We can follow the same pattern.
No, it's not true. You're right. There is a lot of complexity involved between PV and PVCs, and there are some states where you might end up having dangling PVs, I believe. It's a rare scenario, but it's possible. I think even Saad mentioned it at one point. Having cyclic dependencies like that could be troublesome. So we designed such that there won't be cycles. I don't know if everyone remembers.
Yeah, I remember that.
You're right. There's numerous issues in PRs related to PVC, PV protection, and the orchestration of like pods restarting, but the PVs not in a state to be remounted. I mean, there's lots of. It's a complex area, and it has had a lot of issues related to it.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this then. Let's go try and understand those issues well. But for now, I think it makes sense to just have one more finalizer for the token. And for the BAR finalizer, let's get more info before we proceed on that. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yep, I agree. And
Shing, what do you think?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Yeah. Just have to deal with that complexity question, and if that looks good, we can definitely add it.
Yeah, it sounds like more an addition to the existing functionality, so it is not changing a whole lot in terms of adding that at a later point in time.
Yeah, but we'll bring it up next week again with more knowledge. Shing, this is not. I'm not going to. I'm going to make sure we follow up on this and we make a decision together.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so actually we're out of time. Let us discuss this this bucket finalizer design Monday, and by that point we'll also have some clarity on the complexity related to the bidirectional bindings. We can, so we'll discuss that on Monday. We have about 7 minutes, so I want to open up the floor to anyone who has any questions. Okay, so I actually have one question. Jeff, would you be able to help with the documentation?
Yeah, I can try. I've been very busy since the start of the year. But I would like to be able to contribute something. I know that I think our KEP is getting slightly out of date with the code, and that's expected. But I'm worried about that, and I think we have to figure out what is the role of the KEP. Is it done? Is it a static document that's done? It served its purpose, and we no longer reference it, or do we want to keep it current? Or do we want to replace it with a document that tracks the coding decisions?
So in case of, say, CSI, the KEP was there to discuss the original proposal, but then once the original proposal is accepted, I think all the future documentation or all the changes that were made from that point onwards were put into the documentation rather than keeping the KEP current.
That makes sense to me. So we need, I mean, initially this document can borrow heavily from the KEP, but it needs to stand on its own, and it needs to track current code.
Actually, at some point in time, about 3 or 2 months ago, I created a spec.md out of the spec. I might dig that up, and we can discuss on that. That would be probably a reasonable start. Could you share that with Jeff? And I think that PR is on the old repo. I can dig it up and then share it. Yeah, please share with Jeff, and also put it on the common Slack channel. That way others also can take a look and start contributing, commenting. Sounds good. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. The other question is, Srini and others who are writing code right now, is there any reasonable expectation on the timeline for the demo? So do you think we can get it done before next Thursday, or do you think it'll take more time? I think next Thursday will be very aggressive, but it depends upon 1 or 2 common sessions we have to have within the team. So maybe Monday we'll have a better picture on that, as far as I think. Yeah, but I would say January we should dedicate to get the first demo out, and then some work towards the API review, so that we don't miss the 121. Yep. We have to hit that milestone. So okay, this sounds good. So on Monday I'll ask this question again, and on Monday we'll also talk about finalizers again. That's it for today. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Thanks, Sid. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.